Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Ari, and today we're going to have some more stories about our toxic life. But before we start, it would be so much appreciated if you would subscribe to my channel, like the video, if you enjoy it, and maybe leave a comment down below. These simple clicks would mean a lot to the future of this channel and really reward the effort that I put in every day. And now without further ado, let's go. Today's first story. In this story, a 34-year-old man discovered that his 30-year-old wife had been living a double life, dating another man for a year while maintaining a facade of a happy marriage. His groomsmen revealed this devastating secret, leading to a confrontation at their home. The wife tearfully confessed to falling in love with the other man, whom she met through a gaming app. Despite her pleas for forgiveness, the husband decided to end the marriage, and she left their home, never to return. Now let's get into the story. My wife 30, and I 34, were married for 5 years, and she worked at a place where one of the groomsmen from our wedding worked. He was still good friends with me, and he was pretty surprised when one of his new coworkers showed him a picture of his girlfriend. This dude's girlfriend of 1 year was my wife. So my friend told another one of our mutual friends when he found out. And he added this guy on Facebook so he could show me the pictures of him and my wife. They asked me to meet them at a bar to hang out, and while I did, my wife went out with her friends. As soon as I got to my friends, they told me they would be there for emotional support. Through what they were about to tell me, I instantly tensed up. I couldn't help it. They told me what they knew and showed me his profile, which had a picture of him and my wife on it. I couldn't believe how openly he was dating her. Like she wasn't worried I'd find out. Her profile was set to private, and our relationship status said we were married to each other. But his relationship status, all he was married to my wife. I clicked on that profile link, and it was the second account my wife made. She was living a double life. Apparently. For the last year she worked from home, but sometimes she told me she worked from the park or a cafe I worked, so I wasn't able to follow her or validate what she was saying. But I believed her. Sometimes she sent me pictures to prove where she was, but for all I know, he was sitting next to her, just out of view. I asked them to come with me back to my house, and they agreed. We drank a 6-pack and waited for my wife to come home. When she entered, I let her put down her purse before I said we need to talk. A very worrisome thing to hear in a relationship. She looked terrified, like a scared rabbit. I asked her to sit down and she said she couldn't. I pulled up the guy's profile on Facebook and showed it to her. She immediately turned red and started crying. She was trying hard not to, but her body was falling apart. She said she was so sorry and didn't know why she did this or kept it going for so long. She said she became friends with him through a gaming app on her phone. She didn't think anything of it, just enjoyed messaging him sometimes. But then he wanted to meet up. They did, and she liked him a lot. She started looking forward to his messages and made arrangements to meet up again and again, to talk and hang out until they had intimate for the first time. When he asked her out, she couldn't say no. She'd fallen in love. I told her the problem was she started talking to a man behind my back. She didn't tell me about him at all, otherwise I would have been able to keep an eye on it. I told her if she never intended for it to escalate, she should have told me about him right away and never agreed to meet him in person. That was her poor decision, as it was to sleep with him, and now she was going to go through a divorce. My friends nodded slightly, making eye contact with me. I swear it gave me strength. They helped me to discover the truth. I genuinely loved them at this point for being my real friends. My wife broke down sitting on the couch and pleading with me to reconsider. I told her she should have reconsidered this affair at any point before now, and she didn't. I told her to get out. She knew it was my apartment. My aunt was renting it to me. She couldn't believe this was happening. And she closed herself in the bedroom. I assumed she was packing. She came out 45 minutes later with one large packed suitcase saying she'd come back for more in a few days. Curiosity got me and I asked where she was going to stay. She said I wouldn't want to know. How humble of her. I couldn't be bothered about it. We were history and I would find a new and hopefully loyal woman. So she left and she never came back for her stuff. AP dumped her 1 year later and she was only able to stay in her brother's renovated shed. It was extremely small and smelled like mold. I remember from when I was there once. I don't feel bad for her. And I did find a nice girl to start dating. It's actually hard to take it slow because I became accustomed to a serious relationship. I've had to use a lot of self-control to keep myself from becoming too serious or attached too quickly. I've started to value myself way more than I ever have before and enjoy my own company without anyone else. I have a pet bird and he sits with me often. I also go out with my aforementioned friends and write letters to a pen pal. I started growing plants as well. I guess I'm a botanist now. Today's second story. In this story, a couple, both airline pilots engaged to be married, experienced relationship issues during the COVID-19 pandemic. The woman confessed to having an affair with a coworker lasting 6 months. She admitted to her infidelity, feeling disconnected from her fiance and under pressure due to various stressors in their lives. The fiance decided to end the relationship and is moving out. The outcome of the relationship remains uncertain, with both parties deeply affected by the affair. Now let's get into the story. My fiancé and I have been together for 4 years. We are both airline pilots who recently got engaged, and the wedding is in a few months. We were looking at buying a house and have actively tried to have a child together with no success. She often would say she loves our life together, up until today. Yesterday, my fiancé confessed she has been cheating on me for the last 6 months with a coworker. She confronted me crying hysterically and fully admitted what she had done, that she had messed up royally and wanted me to ask her any questions about the infidelity. Back in December, she worked with this guy that she connected with, who I've met before. She talked fondly of him then, and I was concerned at the time that this might be a problem in the future. This is a coworker that lives on the other side of the country and whom she rarely sees at work. I noticed she was hanging out with him every time she passed through a city, and I confronted her directly in February about it. She lied and said there was nothing to worry about since they connected as friends, etc. A few months later, she asked if it was okay if she took a road trip with this guy, to which I responded, saying it was not okay and that even thinking about it was improper. So she didn't go. She once invited him over with other friends, and I met him. Maybe she wanted me to be less suspicious if I knew the guy. The whole night he was trying to win me over, which I wasn't going to let happen, as I had my suspicions. Fast forward. She admitted to talking to him a bunch on the phone and they sporadically had intimate approximately 5 times over the last 6 months. I asked her why she was telling me now and she said because she felt guilty about it and could not in good conscience say I do without me knowing about her indiscretion. He is leaving his wife, but now she says she doesn't want to be with him. She wants to put in the work, cut him out completely, and have a life with me. I asked why she felt the need to do it. We had spent the entirety of COVID living together and hanging out every day. Over time, she said she felt I was less interested in her and she felt disconnected. I didn't initiate intimacy anymore. She had routinely turned me down early in the relationship, for which I stopped trying, so we had it when she wanted it. She never blamed me through this ordeal and has accepted all the blame. But I do know I'm no saint. It takes 2 to tango in a relationship and we started to drift apart. I stopped organizing for us to do things and she felt like she was dragging me to do stuff. In the spring we talked about our problems and I have been actively trying to do more and initiate more activities for us to do together. I was trying. She stayed in the guest room last night and cried till 1 in the morning, dry heaving all night. I awoke this morning to the same thing at 6 o'clock. Like anyone in this situation, I am deeply hurt, emotionally confused, and feeling lost. This wound is deep and very fresh. I've been cheated on once before, which she knew, and she has been cheated on before as well. I obviously have strong feelings for her, but I do know cheating is a choice, and lying and deception is a choice. Up until this point, she always has been a very honest, loving, and caring person who says she is very remorseful. If we do try to work it out, I feel like she will put in the work. But I don't know how I will feel in the future. I've definitely been going through most of the emotional escape mechanisms to cope with this news, and I know I'm not in the right mindset to make good decisions. Update. Day 6 since Discovery Day, so I told her from day 1 that if she cheated on me, I will leave her, and that is exactly what I'm doing. I'm in the process of moving out and hopefully this week I'll sign a year lease on a sick waterfront condo. She has taken it upon herself to stay at her best friend's place until I get my departure sorted out. Up until a few days ago, she was trying to come by asking to talk and be close to me again because she's afraid of losing me. We did more communicating in the last week than we did the whole relationship, but it doesn't excuse her actions. I have given her no direction on how to handle the situation, even after she asked me what to do. So far, she has confessed to the affair and given a fairly accurate timeline with details that paint her in a poor light. She has unconditionally accepted the responsibility for her poor actions and accepts any decision I come to. She has explained to her family what she has done, informed all the wedding guests that she messed up and I left her for it. She has incurred all outstanding costs of the cancelled wedding. She's recognized that she has destroyed a relationship, a marriage, and a family. She has shown me a confirmation of being signed up for a therapist and has blocked all forms of communication with the affair partner. She asked no questions when I asked for screenshots of the affair partner's last messages and missed calls, or about when the affair partner's wife reached out to me. All these things I have never hinted, asked, or demanded of her. This was all thought of and initiated by the wayward wife. The affair partner's wife and I had a half-hour phone call and I filled her in on all the info I had. That poor woman. My situation is bad, but hers is far worse. I have reached out to a lot of my close friends for support and guidance, and the show of support has been very uplifting. I'm embracing all the hurt feelings when I get triggered by things while packing. It has helped immensely. I have shared with the wayward wife a book on how to help a partner heal after an affair, and she took it upon herself to fully read it the same day shared it. Her attitude about giving me space has changed and affirms. She is committed to winning me back and doing whatever it takes. Only time will tell. If she has the constitution to keep it up, that will be her true test. If she is remorseful and willing to improve, I have no idea what I'm going to do down the road, but all I can do is take it day by day. Final update: 10 days after Discovery Day, I've been chatting with her best friends who are having a tough time supporting her, as well as talking to the other betrayed spouse. I uncovered some texts and talks with the wayward wife. This is what I think happened based on the evidence and a bit of interpolation. We were a very outdoor activities kind of couple, and being stuck inside in close proximity really took a toll on both of us. We unfortunately didn't have the mechanisms to really express this and bottled these up. I became reclusive and she felt unloved and unwanted, which wasn't reality. She has been known to self-destruct when she feels abandoned due to her previous boyfriend's cheating and leaving abroad with no notice. She didn't know the healthy way of dealing with those emotions and was too scared to ask for help from her friends, family, and partner. This is why no one in her circles knew about this affair. She met the affair partner and both became interested in each other's lives. He was a victim to a recent trauma, losing a pregnancy that the wayward wife didn't know of. The friendship progressed and they took solace in each other's conversation. This escalated into an emotional affair and a physical affair. Later on, they were infatuated with each other, expressing love. In the first few months, they had made an agreement on the conditions of this arrangement as to not blow their cover. The affair partner seemed to take every opportunity to work with my wayward wife or follow her to different cities. This continued for a few months, but he was becoming unhappy that she wasn't putting in the effort to see him. He wanted to see her and for her to stop sleeping with me, which she refused. This caused friction, and they started to bicker and fight. When they were apart, they fought and broke off the affair multiple times in the last few months of it. After they would separate, he would meet up with her and they would start back up. They were addicted to the fantasy and the good feelings that were brought with it. During the entire affair, the wayward wife was extremely stressed out in her daily life, which I noticed. The wedding was fast approaching, and we were buying a house soon in the worst market possible, and we were unsuccessfully trying to have a child for the past 1.5 years. From the beginning, I noticed the lack of boundaries with the affair partner and called her out on it multiple times. She lied and wanted to continue to fantasize. I think as we approached the wedding, the guilt and pressure from the affair partner and stresses of life really got to her. She knew that she couldn't confess because I would leave her, which she brought up 2 to 3 times in the last 6 months. I believe she was more worried about losing everything she had than the affair itself, which is shown by a pattern of doubling down with lies and deceit. The delusion of everything will be okay if I wait long enough, but I can't break it off because the affair partner wants to tell his wife. I'm sure both the wayward wife and the affair partner were disgusted with themselves over what had transpired. How this ends is a bit of a mystery, as there isn't much concrete evidence of how things transpired. I believe both parties wanted out of the situation, but to what end isn't known. The wayward wife finished the conversation by crying to the affair partner and saying that confessing was her only option. She claims that she told him the affair was done and that she doesn't want to leave me and has to confess. After breaking contact with the affair partner, he continued to message, call, and leave voicemails, dozens of them. Over the next few days, he waited 2 more days before telling his wife some of what had occurred. After a few more days, the wife had reached out to me in case I didn't know. Overall, this was a 1.5-month emotional affair and a 6-month physical affair. I left my wayward wife and I am currently moving out. I need to work out these issues on my own and I'm seeking therapy to help cope. Soon we will start a minimum 6-week no contact and go from there.